Welcome to the Emergency Department Saturation Acuity Flow Evaluation Tool, or EDSafe-T. We're going to give you an overview of how the software is designed and how you would use it as a staff person in the emergency department. In overview, it's a calculation of saturation of resources, meaning it measures what resources you have in the department and how full or at capacity they may be. It objectively assesses for trigger points that will serve as a call to action for you to increase patient flow in the emergency department. It facilitates consistent, efficient operations so you can achieve quality experience and safety for the patient. When we set up the software, we set up a custom fit to your facility that addresses the hospital size, the emergency department size, your baseline staffing, and particularly your critical care staffing. It also takes into account lobby weights so that you have trigger points that are related to the patient experience. We set up core values and maximums in the software so that it remains tied to your custom facility. It's a proprietary formula for inpatient capacity, and it does not go off of your licensed beds. This gets you a more accurate picture of the resource saturation in your particular facility. We'll go ahead and log in now. When you log in as a staff person, it defaults to this page. This is where you would create an entry. Notice that there is a tachometer that shows you what level of saturation the department is currently at. 1 to 4 is normal operations, 4 to 5 is when you're getting into full operations, and between 5 and 6 is when you're really in a critical saturation or crowding circumstance for the emergency department. It gives you an overview in this section of what's been going on in the department and all of the times that it is set at. They're key times to assess the flow so you have opportunity to make an impact to smooth flow later in the day. We'll make an entry. It automatically defaults to the date and to the next time period that you will have a normal entry due. You can also do an ad hoc entry at any particular time, and we'll go over when that can be of great value to the organization. When we customize the tool to your facility, we will set a maximum that is based on your emergency department normal size. When you use the tool, you can adjust this formula up to this maximum. So if you're normally a 29-bed facility, how many beds are staffed at this time? We will go ahead and set this at the normal operations of 29 beds. We want to enter how many patients are in the emergency department, and this is a key detail. It's not just the patients in the beds. This includes the patients in the lobby. It includes the patients in beds that are regular emergency department patients or boarding patients or any patient that is receiving any level of care. We'll say that the beds are full and there's 6 in the lobby. Of those full beds, we have some admissions that are boarding. We'll say there are 4 that are awaiting inpatient placement. Of those 4, 2 of them are critical care. The critical care boarding has a maximum that's set to your normal operations. In other words, you may expect and have staff at normal capacity to carry 5 critical care patients in the emergency department. The boarding time represents how many hours a patient has been awaiting bed placement from when the emergency department decided it was time for admission. In other words, you decided at 3 o'clock that the patients were to be admitted, and at 4 o'clock you're still awaiting orders or the next step in their transition to the intended unit. So we will enter 2 hours of boarding. The longest wait in the lobby is how long it has been since the patient walked in the door until right now. So let's say the longest patient has been waiting in the lobby 3 hours. The comments section allows you to note any variations from normal operations, or maybe you note actions that you have taken. Say you have a trauma that has come in just before you did the score and you called in the trauma nurse. You'd want to note that in the comments if you wanted it to be associated with the score to explain what was happening. In this particular event, you're waiting telemetry patients, and you know that the problem is you haven't had a response from case management, or say you know that there's a bed assigned, but it's not clean. You'd note that in the problems area, that these are the issues that are really causing the backup of patient flow. At this point, you can hit enter or store entry, and you'll see that it gives us a score and tells you what level of saturation the department's in. It also notes prior scores, so you could either go back and catch up one that you forgot this morning, or you can just look at the ones that you have so far. Let's go back and add the entry from 8 o'clock. Notice it's the same entry screen, and we'll just enter the data for this morning. At this point, there were 25 patients in the department. There were no patients boarding, no critical care, no duration, and the lobby wait was 2 hours. And at this point, there wasn't a saturation problem, so you wouldn't note any of those components. And you see the score is lower, representing capacity in the emergency department. It's important to note that all of these saturation reasons are adjustable and customizable to your facility. What you're viewing here are some common ones that users of the tool typically have. The same for the problems area. All of these can be adjusted to your particular facility needs. Say you had a special cause event in the emergency department and you wanted to prepare for the subsequent follow-up root cause analysis. You would say that at 6 o'clock you were all beds open, you had 45 patients in the emergency department, there were 7 patients boarding, 5 of them were critical care, they had been there 8 hours, the lobby was backed up 5 hours. And you would note that you had a code blue and angry scene in the lobby. Some of the causes of this event were telemetry boarding again, critical care boarding, behavioral health boarding, EVS. There were some contingent discharges on the floor, and care management was short that day, so they were behind. That concludes the section of staff nurse entries.